Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy, and today we're going to talk about how to heal when your parents won't acknowledge what they've done to you. If you want to know step by step on exactly how to heal, then stick around to the end of the video. If you want to know how to heal from this, then definitely stick to the end of this video because we're going to go through that. But first we're going to talk about why they won't even acknowledge what they do or what they've done. So if you're someone that has a lot of deep pain from your parents and they've never acknowledged what they've done to you, then this video is definitely for you. If you're watching this video, you most likely have tried to sit down and have a conversation with your parents and it didn't go the way that you had hoped. And you're most likely sitting with resentment or pain or not knowing where to go from here, and maybe you keep trying to have the conversation but still you're just going around in circles and you're not going anywhere. So let's start with, why can't they acknowledge what they've done? Why can't they acknowledge you? When someone confronts someone else, when they're confronted, they have to admit, I did something wrong. And when we as humans, we say we did something wrong, there's a shame factor, there's a discomfort, there's a, oh no, I made a mistake, I failed, I did something wrong. It feels uncomfortable to know we've wronged others or we did something that's bad deemed by society. Our ego tries to come in and shield us from that pain, and our ego will say, nope, that's not what happened. Instead, it will create another story to deal with that discomfort and not have to take that accountability. There's a cognitive dissonance that comes about where it's like, you're faced with some things that may have happened. It takes facing that shame and taking our ego and putting it to the side to admit we were wrong. And a lot of us don't want to face that discomfort. There's just this really awkward, uncomfortable feeling, and we don't want to face that. And so, and also on top of that, a lot of times our parents have had bad examples, and that's not an excuse but an explanation of they didn't see their parents do it, or they had bad examples to follow, and so then they do exactly as their parents had done, or they have the wounds of their parents and they just continue that cycle. And so they never really truly learned how to take accountability. They learned other ways to deal with when they do something wrong. So when you've tried to confront your parents, instead you most likely have dealt with a parent that has tried to shift the power dynamic, and instead they will say that you did things to cause them to react that way. Oh, you were a bad kid, you were a rough kid, they had to do what they had to do. Or they may become the victim of, you know, they were a single parent, they tried really hard to provide for you and your siblings, or you know, you're always hard on your mom or you're always hard on your dad, and they, of course, they're just a bad parent all around and they can never do anything right. They'll start saying things like that and just become the victim. Or they may belittle and say, it wasn't even really that bad, or they'll deny anything that happened, like you're misremembering, you know, they'll gaslight you, they'll say you're misremembering your childhood. Or they may scapegoat and blame someone else for why they were that way, of, oh, you know, I had a rough spouse, you know, your mom or your dad, you know, they were really hard to deal with and it made me not be the best parent. And you know, they'll blame other people for their behavior rather than taking that accountability. And really, like I said, it just comes down to they don't know how to deal with these uncomfortable feelings. They can't sit and reflect and be like, oh shoot, like I did this stuff and it affected my kids, and like I need to make amends and make up for it and actually own it. They would much rather, you know, fill their ego and have their ego protect them rather than, you know, have that conversation and actually have to face what they've done to you. So that's part of your healing, is understanding why they can't take that accountability. So that way you know it's not you, you're not crazy, you didn't do anything to cause it, it was all them, and it was an issue within them. So although they have not acknowledged what they've done, you don't need their acknowledgement for you to move on. And as crazy as it sounds, hear me out. You can give yourself your own acknowledgement, and by doing these healing steps that I'm about to provide for you, you will be able to release it and be able to actually move forward and move on in your life. So the first thing is acknowledge and give yourself space for your feelings. So be with your feelings, be with your hurt, be with your sadness, be with your pain. Acknowledge what has happened in your childhood. Don't make excuses for them. Don't think, you know, don't empathize with them right now. Don't be compassionate. We already did that with the understanding aspect. Now is your time to be filled with anger and rage and sadness and all of your feelings, whatever it is. Be with those feelings and just sit with them. Sit with the discomfort of them. Cry if you need to. If you want to just vent to someone, do whatever you need to do. just be with those feelings and allow yourself to, for as long as you need. It's not like, oh, you're immediately gonna feel better, but it's gonna be, you're gonna feel a release, and do it as many times as you need to just deal with your feelings. And it may be something that you'll need to do over the course of your life. Like, you're gonna have moments where you're just feeling sad, especially when you're triggered by your parents, and you'll just need to be sad and just be with your feelings and just get comfortable with those uncomfortable feelings. Now, don't be scared of those feelings. I'm going to give you a tool of how to get through those feelings. A lot of people, they don't want to be with those feelings because they don't know what to do with them, and they're like, okay, great, I'm sad, now I'm just sad, like I don't know where to go from here. We're going to talk about that in a second, but first, so you do that, you can also journal. Journal is really important. It's good to just release, like, everything. Release, you know, you can write the story of your childhood, write down all the times that you were hurt, write down your perception, write down everything that was in your head, and just release it. Let it out like as if you're telling your life story. And just journaling helps because it's just not getting scrambled all up in your head. You're actually releasing it from your body, the negativity, and just getting it all out though. So there needs to be a part of writing and a part of just being with those emotions and those feelings and not straying away from them. Now, here's the part that is going to help you to be able to not just stay in that sadness, and that's to self-parent yourself. Tell yourself exactly what you wish your parent would have said to you in your childhood, and also what you wish they would tell you now, like, and giving you that acknowledgement, like, I'm sorry that I hurt you, or whatever it is, like, I'm sorry that I couldn't be the parent that you need, all those things. Like, imagining your parent telling you those things. And then also self-parenting of saying, like, I love you, I'm happy you're here, I'm so grateful to have you be a part of my life, I'm so glad that you are doing amazing in your job, you know, giving yourself that validation, telling yourself whatever you wish a parent would have said to you and your inner child. And that is what will help you when you're in those uncomfortable feelings. Like, that self-parenting of, like, it's gonna be okay, I got you no matter what, you're valid, like, exactly what you want to hear. Being the parent that you wish you would have had, using that language. You know, if you're having a hard time with that, imagine, you know, things that you tell your friends or your loved ones. I'm sure you pick them up really easily. Like, imagine what you wish someone would say to you, or imagine what you usually say to your loved ones in their time of need, and you say those exact things to yourself. So as you're self-parenting and as you're telling yourself what you wish your parent would say to you, that is when you make the decision to release all of it. Say, you know, tell yourself, I release this hurt and this pain. A lot of people have a hard time with this because they think that they should just stay stuck in that pain because their parent deserves for them to be mad at them. But really, who's feeling that anger at the end of the day? It's not your parent. Your parent's not feeling that. You are. You're suffering. So why are you going to hold on to all that anger? Release that anger and let it out, and finally be at peace with the situations. And you know, you don't have to be happy about what had happened, but when you release it, it doesn't have a chokehold on you anymore. So release it and say, you know, I acknowledge that it happened. We're not gonna pretend that it didn't happen, because it did, but I release it from my heart and my mind from holding, like, choking me. And what acceptance and letting something go is the decision. That's ultimately what it comes to. It's like, I decide to let this go and release it. The next thing, which is moving forward, like, what do you do? Okay, you're acknowledging, you're releasing, you're giving yourself that compassion, that empathy, and you're letting go of what they did. Now it's okay, now you need to moving forward, accept your parent for who they are. They are not the parent that you had hoped for or you wish you would have had, and they were not a parent. They were not a good parent to you, and you need to acknowledge that, and you need to accept that they are not that parent, and they never will be that parent. Because once you accept who they are, then you can decide, how is my relationship with them going to be moving forward, so I can protect myself and I can have healthy boundaries and I can have healthy expectations of them. So when you release that hurt and that pain, it doesn't mean that they're going to be a completely different person, because they're still that person that can't acknowledge you and they still have their flaws. So now it's, how are you going to treat them moving forward, and what part do they have in your life moving forward? if they are someone that takes advantage of you, now there needs to be boundaries moving forward. Like, they don't get certain things anymore because they will not acknowledge or stop that behavior. Like, you still have to protect yourself at the end of the day. Blood doesn't mean no boundaries. It doesn't mean they get to do whatever they want. There needs to be, you know, you protecting yourself, and there needs to be boundaries, and there needs to be healthy expectations. If you don't accept your parent for who they are, then you will wind up in the same cycle over and over again, where you're hurt from them and who they are and the fact that they're not changing, because they're not going to change. You now need to change so that way you don't deal with those unhealthy behaviors anymore. And the last thing is you have to decide what kind of relationship you want with them moving forward. So if, you know, you may decide that you want to cut them out of your life because it's too painful, or they just are more of a detriment in your life than a benefit, or you decide that you want to go more low contact, or you decide you don't want to do certain things, and you have to sit and decide, how is my relationship with my parent, this parent, going to be moving forward? Because it can't be the same thing. That's not working for you. And even if it's a parent that you've cut off a long time ago,